Good morning. It is 11:18 on Sunday, May the 24th, 2026. I always give a timestamp. So any predictions that I give, we can go back and see how long ago it was and how accurate it was. So I'm going to do the In the Skies June 2026 video magazine article. I used to do it and print it, but now I just find it's a lot easier just to do that actual video. So I got my handy dandy ephemeris here that's got all the information of what's going to be coming up, and this is where we are at the very start of June 1st. We will have the sun in Gemini at 10 degrees. So that we come in with the most extreme form of Gemini, because as it goes into the second decaton, it'll start to exude more Virgo energy. And then when it gets to about 21 degrees, it'll start giving that energy of Libra, even though of course it's still in Gemini, but there'll be a little bit change of energy. So that sun is basically encouraging communication, duality, things having to do with neighbors, and certainly it's a good time if you want to get out and communicate, or you have something that you have to say and you need to influence someone. This is your time, specifically on June the 1st. But still, we will be in the land of Gemini up until the 21st of June. So we can use that energy to learn, to teach, to communicate, to network, to get our information out. If you want to get your business in a good space where it's got a good role and movement, this is your time from the 1st until the 21st. And I'm going to go back with a little bit of information with the sun there, but we're going to leave it for now. So Mercury is going to be in Gemini for one day, and that will be the very 1st of June. And then it will go into Cancer at 0 degrees. So things having to do on the 2nd up until it goes retrograde on the 29th of June. It'll still be in Cancer when it retrogrades, but we're going to revisit things having to do when that retrograde comes, on the 29th. And we'll feel that shadow probably around the 14th of June. We'll start to find things that might be breaking down in our home, since it is in the home where that Mercury is. Things having to do with mothering issues, things having to do with your home. So if you have anything in your home that needs fixing, do it now before that retrograde occurs, because then it's gonna super break and you might end up having to get something new. And if you've got any issues with your mother, you need to start thinking about what those are and try to correct it before the 29th. Otherwise, when it does come on retrograde, and that's toward the end of the month, and it's basically going to retrograde from July, the beginning of July, up until about the 23rd of July. So things can go really wonky, and issues with your mother, or you as a mother mothering your children. So just be aware of that. And if there's already a strained relationship, some of that might be coming up to be addressed, or it could strain it even more. Yay! So now I'm going to walk on over here to Venus in Cancer at the 1st until the 13th of June. So that will smooth some of that harshness. Um, and there could love be found in the home. Also, things having to do with comfort food, things having to do with comfort in general, not luxury, but comfort. What is the texture of it? Will it have longevity? Will it support me? Will it support the people that are here? Those are the questions that you are going to find yourself asking if you're buying furniture, if you're buying food. Is this food going to be nourishing? When I'm watching television with my family, will we feel comfort? These are questions, comfort. And then from the 14th until the end of the month, which is 30, we're going to have a 30-day month. So from the 14th until the 30th, quit playing with my stuff. That's my dog over there. Venus will be in Leo, so it becomes dramatic. And Venus is creative in this aspect here. So from the 14th until the 30th, you artists can really do some beautiful work and be very creative. They'll be sunny. If you're normally like dark things, it's probably not going to happen. It'll lighten the mood. It'll bring creativity, things having to do with children, things having to do with gambling. So you might spend your money on gambling and not necessarily, playing the lottery or gambling with cards, but taking gambles with your love life and with your life as far as risk with things having to do with beauty, creativity. Maybe before you didn't, feel that you were good enough with your artwork, so you take some gambles and risk, and you start to see that it's starting to pay off. So I'm going to run over here to Mars energy. So when we start the month, June the 1st, Mars will be in Taurus. So where our head is from the 1st until the 28th of June is around financial stability. You'll fight over money with people. If you have to, if you feel like somebody's not being on the up and up about money or the quality of work, Mars brings aggressive energy. This is energy that's being brought in to get financial stability. It almost feels frantic wanting to get that done, because at the end of the month, the 29th, the 30th, that Mars is going to go into Gemini, and it wants to start talking. And it's going to talk about everything. So, and it gossips. So that could be an issue. You really need to watch for getting information that may or may not, may not be as accurate as it could be, or purposefully spun to create a problem that will cause people to really kind of go, a little nuts about the information they're receiving. So just be very careful about that. So if you want to get some financial stability, you've got 28 days to really push for that stability. Or it also may want you to really find things of quality. But like I said, if people are not on the up and up and they're handling your money, there could be arguments there. And then we have Jupiter in Cancer the whole month, from the 1st until the 30th. And it's not retrograde. So benefits coming into the home, benefits with the mother. Now remember, we've got a retrograde coming in at the end of the month. And so it could get wonky, but that Jupiter will actually come in and kind of create stability as well, thankfully. So just remember, wherever Jupiter is, it expands what's already there. It doesn't make you a millionaire if you're not a millionaire. It expands what's already there. So whatever's in your home, whether that's peaceful, calm energy, it'll expand that. If you have chaos in your home, guess what? It expands that. But you also could expand your home. You know, you could expand and want to get another home. So these are things, and whatever relationship that you have with your mother or mothering will be expanded even more during this time. But since it's not retrograde, it should be a little bit nicer. And then we have Saturn and Aries the whole time. Super not fun. Saturn is sitting right on my first house, and it is so annoying because that could be an effect of having issues with your health, which is what has happened to me. That's why I'm laying in this bed, keeping my foot up, and keeping myself from being dizzy as well. So, I don't care for Saturn in Aries, but there is a lesson. And what's going on between your ears, your brain, your thoughts, anything from the top of your head to your chin on either side, draw a square, and that's where there's going to be lessons. There is going to be things having to do with lessons about invention, about if you have any bit of flakiness where you start things but don't finish them, or what else? About war making tendencies, people who mouth off about wanting to bully or bully countries. There will be lessons about that. Hopefully there won't be anything too severe. So let's walk over to Uranus and Gemini. So whenever you have Uranus in an air sign, it can definitely create storms. And but it's in an air sign, so I don't see any water there. So electrical storms, wind storms, and that can also affect the nervous system into such a high degree that you really need to make sure that you stay hydrated and not to get too excitable to the point that you're like in a frenzy or so afraid that it's affecting you physiologically. So that is one thing that I want to say, that whenever you got Uranus in Gemini, and also it brings sudden insights that of clarity that you may have not even considered until this point. So that is the wonderful part of it. It brings things from another time and space. Hello, baby. You're such a sweet girl. It brings things like almost from other dimensions, it feels like, to give you information that you have been lacking or could not see until now. So that's wonderful. But it also can bring unexpected things with communication, unexpected things with neighbors, things having to do with unexpected communication with neighbors, and sudden insights with them. So it brings a lot of things, like almost with an electrical charge. Then we've got Neptune and Aries. Remember what I talked about? I don't know if you saw the other videos. Neptune and Aries can affect the mind or the head in very strange ways. I've had more people tell me that they've had vertigo and they've had issues where they just felt not quite right. Drink your water. That's the key to it. So you've got water, which is Neptune, and you've got fire, which is Aries. You want to put that fire out a little bit if it's just too charged up. And so your ears could be a thing. Anything with the eyes or sinuses, headaches, dizziness, but also not exactly seeing things as clearly as you normally see them, or seeing them in the way that you want to, where you're superimposing what you want it to look like, but it's really not the case. So you might thud down on earth when you realize that your rose-colored glasses are not showing you exactly what's the situation. And then we've got Pluto retrograde on the second day of June. Actually, it's retrograde now, sorry. And that is a generational thing. It's an outer planet, just like the past that I've talked about, Neptune and Uranus. But what it does is it's really meant to cause upheaval in the human collective consciousness. What you've been doing is not working anymore. You can't have power over other people. We have to share this collectively. And in order to do that, I'm going to destroy these hierarchies that have placed people in a one up, one down position. And we are freaking out because we have been used to having a certain system. Well, it is breaking down so that a new one can be born. And in the process of that, a lot of people that are really into tradition and history and all these things are really having a hard time. But overall, looking at this month, communication is a priority. Networking is a priority. Home life is a priority. Your mothering, creativity is a priority. Getting financial stability, and then to be able to communicate. It's really important. All these things, it's a good time to buy a house. If you do it before that retrograde cycle, I would certainly, if I'm going to buy a home, I would say, hey, I think I'll do that before the 14th of the month. Because there's more benefits in that. Because when you start to get in that area of the shadow from Mercury retrograding, for it to retrograde coming on, you don't want to do that. Make sure you fix your things before that retrograde. Be careful traveling when that retrograde comes on, and be thinking about what kind of lessons that you're learning with home life, family, mothering, and those things will come to light during this time. I am going to go. I am Miss Kim with Miss Kim's Tarot and Tea Room. If you have any questions, I'll leave information down in the link below my video. And I hope that you have a wonderful month. And I will talk to you later. Bye.